Hello, welcome to Raga Made. I am your host YJ Arun House. As you know, we are dealing with the various pitches and microtones used in Raga music. This is chapter 3, section D. If you look at the screen, you will know that there are Western names for all these pitches, the Indian pitches that I have already covered. This goes to say that these pitches we use are totally legitimate. I guess these pitches were used in Western music also once upon a time. Somehow they got buried in the modern music scenario. As you know, the piano is the king of Western instruments, and the piano has Western music by its throat. I don't want to use a bad word. Now, the trouble with the piano is you cannot change pitches or the tuning of each key at will. It's not like a violin where a slight adjustment in your fingertip can adjust the microtone that is being produced. And also because of the composer's desire to keep modulating over all 12 keys to compose, the West had to evolve into an equal tempered tuning system where the beauty of the microtones were lost. However, as a singer, you can never reproduce these equal tempered tones unless through some electronic gimmick. So for a singer and someone who plays any fretless instrument, who plays by the ear and not by counting frets, they have to know these tones, these microtones, pure tones, pi tones, and the one that I'm going to introduce now called supratones, so that the singing becomes very harmonious. Equal tempered tuning may sound good for a rich instrument like piano, where actually a woolen hammer is striking 3 strings to produce a note which is so rich that you don't particularly notice that it is slightly out of tune, to the human ear. That is out of tune to the natural God's own tuning sequence of a scale. Whereas when you sing, even a couple of cents variations in the pitch can be picked up by the human ear because we are more used to listening to people talking and singing. As the great conductor Benjamin Sanders said in one of the TED Talks, you can pick up the mood of your mother by just listening to how she says hello. So I would urge that if you're a singer, sing in natural pitches, that is pure tone and pi tones, and don't let the sound engineers adjust it all back to the adjusted tuning called equal tempered tuning. Once the great conductor Leonard Bernstein said this, that equal tempered is from the root word tampered. So they have just tampered with the God-given tuning method, so that they can play on all 12 keys in the same composition. In Carnatic music also we have a concept called Graha Bhedam, which means literally translates to home breaking. That means you move from your home note to another note. But those are restricted to certain ragas only, because the tonal center remains the same. And if you try to do Graha Bhedam or modulation to a very distant key like B or B flat, then pure tones can create some kind of dissonance. So that is why the Western music goes into equal tempered for harmonic music, while in India we always prefer the pure tones to sing, because Indian music is basically still voice is the king. Piano, as I said, piano is the king of Western music. Voice is the king of Indian music. So if you're a singer or a player of a fretless instrument, I suggest you train yourself with these pure tones and pi tones, all the microtones. If you're a natural singer, those tones will automatically come to your throat. But if you're not a natural born singer, then you have to train with these pure tones often. Now, if you look at the screen, there are 2 lines. One is the major second, re with an upward arrow, which is equal to 274 cents. That is the augmented second. And me, that is a small letter m with an upward arrow, is equal to 630 cents, which is the diminished fifth. I have highlighted with yellow. Now, these are called supratones. for want of better English terms, I have called it supratones. That is, it is beyond the pure tone and the pi tone. And these are also sung in Carnatic music. The supratones are derived from intervallic pitches. That is, the difference in pitch between any two successive pure tone notes played. There are about 35 different intervallic pitch possibilities for the 12 pure tones we have already learned. Now we will go one by one how these intervallic pitches, these 35 intervallic pitches, are found. Before that, I want you to just take a glance at this slide where I have given 6 supratones. That is, there is a diminished third, which is 224 cents. Okay, and then there is a augmented second, which is 274 cents. Similarly, there is a diminished seventh, which is 926 cents, and an augmented sixth, which is 976 cents. There are also a diminished fifth, that is 631 cents, and an enlarged major seventh or the 29th harmonic, which is 1130 cents, which are sung in Carnatic music. Now I'm going to say something exclusively for Carnatic maestros. If you are not a Carnatic maestro, you can skip this lesson because you may not understand what I'm talking about. Almost all the Carnatic maestros I've heard so far keep talking about 12 notes and 16 names in Carnatic music. That is 12 notes of 12 different pitches, but they have 16 different names, that's all. But the pitches are only 12. Now here I'm going to prove that there are 16 different pitches sung for these 16 names. As you know, in Carnatic, the symbols they use is R1, R2, R3, G1, G2, G3, Dha1, Dha2, Dha3, and Ni1, Ni2, Ni3. We always learn that Re3 and Ga2 are the same pitch. That is 316 cents. As per Wise music system, the Supra Re and the pure tone Ge, that is the same pitch of 316 cents. I beg to differ here because I always hear in Chalanate and Nate Raga 274 being sung. Even the people who say that it has to be Ga2, but when they sing it, they sing 274. The best example is the great singer T.M. Krishna. He sings 274 cents. So you can listen to it very clearly. You can hear 274 cents being sung then rather than 316 cents being sung. And in Sharanate, I have analyzed Maharaja Brahmsantanam's kritis, where he is singing the Dha as 976 cents. That is Dha3 according to Carnatic system. Now I'm going to call it Dho instead of Dha. So similar, that is all the threes and the ones. That is Re3, I'm going to pronounce it as Ro, just to avoid confusion. So Re3 will be Ro, Ga1 will be Go, Dha3 will be Dho, and Ni1 will be No. In future, remember that. Just to differentiate, like instead of Re, Re, Ro, Ro is Re3. Ge, Ga, Go. So, no, sorry, the Ge, Ga. Then De, Dha, Dho. Then No, Ne, Ni. So here we see that we got 4 more notes. So that is how we got 12 plus 4, 16 pitches and 16 names. So, and please remember the 16 pitches, the 16 names do not share any pitches. They are all totally different. And I can prove it mathematically here, as well as I use my ear to really test out many kritis, many top class maestros, and I found that yes, they are singing these augmented and diminished pitches. That is, Ro is an augmented second, Go is a diminished third, Dho is an augmented sixth, and No is a diminished seventh. And the pitches in cents are Ro 274 cents, Go 224 cents, Dho 976 cents, No 926 cents. Surprisingly, there is a name called Raudri for Ro, the 274 cents, which could imply that this 274 cents or the diminished augmented second was used from time immemorial. And it is not the 316 cents are the pure minor third that you should use in that place. This means that Nate Raga and the Jog of Hindustani music, Jog Raga of Hindustani music, are not the same pitches. Even though we sing it only with seven syllables called sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa, the pitches are different. Now let's take a look at how the intervallic pitches are derived. There are 35 numbers of intervallic pitches in total.